Good morning. In this session, let us see some problems related to the previous theorems. So the first problem says that let P be a prime number. Prove that the splitting field of the polynomial x to the power of P minus 1 over the field Q of all rational numbers is of degree P minus 1. So let us look into the solution of this now. So given a polynomial x to the power of P minus 1, here P is prime. So let us use the binomial theorem and we can factorize f of x as x minus 1 into q of x. But here q of x will be a polynomial of degree P minus 1 as x to the power of P minus 1 plus x to the power of P minus 2 plus etc. 1. Since every extension Q contains 1. Why I am saying this is, here you have a factor x minus 1. So one of the root will be equal to x is equal to 1. And we know that Q contains x. Q contains, 1. So it follows that the splitting field of Q of x, that is, if you take this polynomial, it will be the splitting field of this f of x because x is equal to 1 belongs to the rational set Q. Now let us consider this Q of x. So since P is prime, we all know that this polynomial of degree P minus 1 will be irreducible because the reason is P is prime. Now, if I take alpha to be a root of q of x in some extension of q, here we can take the example x square plus x plus 1, which is a factor of x cube minus 1. There we get omega, that is the one of the cube root of 1 to be a root. Similar to that, here we are taking alpha to be a root of q of x in some extension of q. Alpha will be algebraic over q. We have proved that if alpha is a root of a polynomial in an extension field of q, then it becomes algebraic and the degree will be equal to the degree of the polynomial. Therefore, it will be p minus 1. That is, we can express in symbolically q of alpha over q will be p minus 1, that is the degree. Now let us consider this q of alpha, that is the extension of q when adjoined with the root alpha. And this will be the minimal extension of q that we have seen. That will be the smallest field containing q and alpha. So it is containing alpha also. No other extension of q of degree less than p minus 1. We have seen even this, if I take any extension whose degree is less than p minus 1, it cannot have all the roots of q of x. So because of that reason, let us take k to be the splitting field of q of x. And we have seen in theorems that degree of k over q must be equal to degree of the polynomial q of x. But in general, when we take, it will be greater than or equal to p minus 1. Now our intention is to show that it is equal to p minus 1. So let us prove that k over q is equal to p minus 1. So let us consider the given polynomial and equate it to 0 so that we can find all its roots. So when I express this, I can write x to the power of p is equal to 1. Therefore, x will be 1 to the power of p minus 1. Sorry, 1 to the power of 1 by p. That is the pth roots of 1. So by using the condition or rather the value, 1 can be written as cos 2n pi plus I sin 2n pi, because for all even multiples of n, cos will take 1 and sine becomes 0. Therefore, the imaginary part will be equal to 0. So I get p. pth power of 1. So I can express that like this: cos 2n pi plus I sine 2n pi to the power of 1 by p, and the value of n will range from 0 to p minus 1. But using the De Mor's theorem, I can write this expression like this, that is cos of 2n pi by p plus I sine 2n pi by p. N once again ranging from 0 to p minus 1. Now, if I use the Euler's formula, that is e to the power of I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sine theta, I can write this as e to the power of I into 2n pi by p, once again n ranging from 0 to p minus 1. Now, here when I put n is equal to 0, what do I get? E to the power of 0, that is equal to 1. That is one of the root of the equation p to the power of x to the power of p minus 1 equal to 0. But we are not interested in 1. So let us put n is equal to 1. If I put n is equal to 1, I get alpha to be e to the power of I 2 pi by p. So then whenever you have one of the root, you can express the other roots, which is similar to 1 omega square of cube roots of unity. So then the other roots of x to the power of p minus 1 equal to 0 in the complex field. Okay, it will be in complex field that we have seen in case of cube roots of unity. Similar here, the pth roots of unity, it will be 1 alpha, alpha square, etc. alpha to the power of p minus 1. Clearly, these roots form a cyclic multiplicative group, which is once again similar to 1 omega square, because it is a multiplicative group that we have seen in our lower classes. Now let us consider the field, that is the extension field Q of alpha containing alpha. Since alpha belongs to Q of alpha and Q of alpha is a field, it implies that alpha square belongs to Q of alpha, alpha cube belongs to Q of alpha, and in general, alpha to the power of p minus 1 also belongs to Q of alpha. Since Q of alpha contains all the roots of Q of x into x minus 1, Q of alpha becomes the splitting field of x to the power of p minus 1. Now alpha is a root of x to the power of p minus 1 equal to 0, and we know that alpha is not equal to 1. Therefore, alpha becomes a root of q of x, that is nothing but one of the factor of f of x. And now I can write the degree of q of alpha over q. That will be equal to p minus 1. So this was the required result. Hence, Q of alpha is the required splitting field of x to the power of p minus 1 of degree p minus 1. So this you can use for x cube minus 1, x to the power of 4 minus 1, x to the power of 5 minus 1, provided the power of x, the highest power of x here, will be a prime number. So let us take this example. Determine the degree of the splitting field of the polynomial x to the power of 7 minus 1 over the field Q. Since 7 is prime, you can apply the previous result. The degree of the splitting field of x to the power of 7 minus 1 now becomes, that is p minus 1. Here p is 7, so 7 minus 1 is equal to 6. So you can make use of this result for particular examples. Now let us move on to the third example, that is if a complex number z is a root of the polynomial f of x with real coefficients, then its complex conjugate, that is if you take a complex number z and it is being a root of the polynomial whose coefficients are real coefficients, then we need to prove that even the conjugate of z, that is z bar, is also a root of f of x. Here to prove or to find the solution of this problem, we are going to make use of continuation of isomorphism theorems. So here let us take C and R, where C is the complex field and R is the real field. Clearly we know that C contains R. Therefore, C is an extension of R. Let us consider the mapping phi from C to C, defined by phi of Z is equal to Z bar. So whenever you take a complex number Z, it is mapped onto its conjugate, that is Z bar, for every complex number Z belonging to C. Since this mapping is from C to C and clearly it is an isomorphism, it becomes an automorphism because domain and codomain are one and the same. We can say that it is an automorphism. Let us see what happens if an element of real set R is taken under the mapping phi. So when I take A belonging to R and phi of A, if I consider, that will be A bar. But what is A bar? Real numbers conjugate will be themselves. Therefore, A bar is equal to A. Since A bar is equal to A, this phi automorphism on C fixes every element of R. That is, it leaves every element of R to be fixed. So it follows that by using one of the isomorphism theorems, phi takes a root of f of x in C to a root of f of x in C. So hence Z belongs to C is a root of f of x. Therefore, its image, that is phi of Z is equal to Z bar, is also a root of f of x. So this will be the required result. Similar problem is there, that is regarding the irrational index, that is root m we have taken here, provided m is a positive integer and it is not a perfect square. If m becomes negative, then this expression alpha plus beta root m becomes a complex number. Therefore, it will be a particular condition of the previous problem 3. Here, because of that reason, m is a positive integer. So alpha and beta are rationals and they are the root of the polynomial f of x having rational coefficients. Then alpha minus beta root m is also a root of f of x. This is what we need to prove. So based on the previous example, we can prove similarly. Now let us take K to be the set of all elements of the form A plus B root M, where both A and B belongs to Q. Clearly, K is a field with respect to usual addition and multiplication. This we have seen while proving ring theory. Also, this Q is contained in Q because when I take B is equal to 0 here, it contains all rational numbers belonging to Q. Therefore, Q is contained in K. Therefore, you can treat K is an extension of Q. Now, let us take alpha plus beta root M, which is a root of f of x, belongs to Q of x in K. That is the ring of rational numbers, that is Q of x. Let us define a mapping phi from K to K by phi of A plus B root M is equal to A minus B root M. Because this can be done, we know that every irrational number has the other additive identity, that is negation of that. That is, whenever I have root m, I can have minus root m also. So where this A and B belongs to Q. Clearly, once again, this mapping phi is from K to K. So it becomes an automorphism. And what can I say about phi of A? When A is a rational number, so when I put in this form, it will be A plus 0 root m. So that will be mapped on to A minus 0 root m. Therefore, phi of A will be equal to 8 for all A belonging to Q. So phi takes each root of f of x to a root of f of x in K. This is once again by the continuation of isomorphism theorem. Thus, alpha plus beta root m, which was a root of f of x in K, is mapped on to alpha minus beta root m. Therefore, this is also a root of f of x in K. So these are the some of the problems which are discussed under continuation of isomorphism theorems. Now I am going to discuss the ruler and the compass constructions. This is nothing but we need to make use of only ruler, that is the scale, and the compass to construct a real number. So let us begin with the definition. A real number alpha is said to be constructible if it is possible to construct a line segment of length modulus of alpha by using ruler and compass alone when we are given some fundamental unit length. So they may give you it is inches or centimeters or meters or kilometers, whatever it may be. We need to make use of the ruler and compass alone. Now first let us see the integers 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. They are all constructible because we can draw a line segment AB of length equal to 1. And if I take BC is equal to length equal to 1, now AC becomes 2. So likewise, we can construct a line of length which are in integral values. So all integers are constructible. Now let us show some of the irrational numbers are also constructible. That is root 2, root 3, root 5, etc. So here let us consider this diagram. Here we are taking AB is equal to length 1. We know that integer 1 is constructible, so this can be done. Next, using the ruler and compass, I can construct a perpendicular BC which is also equal to length 1. Now you join this AC and we get a right angle triangle. So using Pythagoras theorem, now I can write AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square, and that gives you AC is equal to square root of AB square plus BC square. We know that both AB and BC are equal to 1. So you get root of 1 plus 1, that is root 2. Therefore, root 2 is constructible. Now we have root 2 constructible. Using this, we can show that root 3 is also constructible. Now let us take AB is equal to root 2. And similarly, we draw a perpendicular BC of length 1. So it becomes a right angle triangle now after joining AC. So AC is the hypotenuse here. Once again, using Pythagoras theorem, AC is equal to square root of AB square plus BC square. So you get root of 2 plus 1, that is equal to root 3. Therefore, root 3 is constructible. So next, let us show that root 5 is constructible. Let us take AB is equal to 2 and BC, which is perpendicular to AB of length 1. Join AC. Once again, you get a right angle triangle. Using Pythagoras theorem, I can write AC is equal to root of AB square plus BC square. So it is 2 square 4 plus 1 square, that is 1. So you get root 5, hence root 5 is constructible. Making use of all these things, we can construct and show that all irrational roots, that is root 7, root 8, root 9, are constructible. Now let us show the rational index, that is 1 by root 2 is also constructible. Here we take a semicircle whose radius is equal to 1. Since radius is equal, diameter is equal to 1. So radius r will become half. So in this semicircle, if I draw this right angle triangle, because any angle in a semicircle will be always a right angle, you take this right angle triangle now with AC is equal to BC, that will be the condition. Once again, use the Pythagoras theorem. AB square will be equal to AC square plus BC square. So AC is equal to BC, that is the condition here. So it becomes 2 times AC square is equal to 1 because AB, the diameter of the circle, is equal to 1. So you get AC square is equal to half, therefore AC becomes 1 by root 2, therefore 1 by root 2 is constructible. These are some of the particular numbers which are constructible. Now, in general, we can prove that if alpha and beta are constructible real numbers, they are real numbers, so that we can show that alpha plus beta is constructible, alpha minus beta is constructible, alpha into beta is constructible, and alpha by beta is also constructible, provided beta is not equal to 0. So since it is given that alpha and beta are constructible real numbers, so we can draw a line of length modulus of alpha and modulus of beta by the definition of constructible numbers. Now in order to construct alpha plus beta, so once again we need to make use of only ruler and compass. So we know that a length of alpha can be constructed. So AB is equal to alpha. Now with B as center and the length of the segment to be equal to beta, you draw a arc cutting extended AB at C. So this arc can be drawn using compass. So we have used only the ruler and compass, and now this AB is alpha, BC is beta. Therefore, from A to C, it will be alpha plus beta. Therefore, alpha plus beta is constructible. Now we need to prove that alpha minus beta is constructible. Out of alpha and beta, you take the maximum value and you draw the line segment AB of length alpha. Here we have taken alpha to be greater than beta. It can be done similarly if beta is greater than alpha. Now with one end, that is you can take either A or B. I'm taking B as center and I'm cutting an arc of length beta which cuts AB internally at C. Now this length, that is AC, now becomes alpha minus beta. So we have constructed a arc length, or sorry, a line segment of length alpha minus beta. Therefore, alpha minus beta is constructible. Next, we need to prove that alpha into beta is constructible. For this, we take the help of this diagram. So first, what we do is we draw a line segment AB of length alpha and a perpendicular to OA, OB is drawn, which is of length equal to 1 unit. Okay, so here OA is alpha units and OB is 1 unit. Now what we do is, taking O as center, we are going to take a length AB is OC is equal to of length beta. Now from C, you draw a parallel line to AB to cut at D. So you get two similar triangles, OAB and ODC. OAB and ODC. So OB by OA is equal to OC by OD. So you get 1 by alpha is equal to beta by OD. Cross multiply this, you get OD is equal to alpha beta. Therefore, alpha beta is constructible. Now let us show. To construct alpha by beta, let us make use of this diagram now. Similar to the previous one, OA is taken to be alpha and a perpendicular to OA, OB is drawn of length beta. So now you draw OC is equal to of length, unit length, that is 1. So it may be greater than beta or it may be less than beta. In both these ways we can prove it. So here I have taken 1 to be greater than beta. So I have taken OC like this. From C you draw a parallel to AP using the ruler. Let it cut OA extended at D. Now once again you have two similar triangles, OAB and ODC. Therefore we have OD by OC is equal to OA by OB. So substitute the values here. You get OD is equal to alpha by beta. Therefore alpha by beta is constructible. So here in this remark, the set of all constructible real numbers are denoted by FC. And we know that FC becomes a subfield of real numbers R. But the smallest subfield of R is Q. Therefore, Q is contained in FC and FC is contained in R. So Q is contained in FC and FC is the set of all constructible real numbers. It implies that all rational numbers belonging to Q are constructible. Now let us go to this theorem which gives you the condition for constructibility. Let Q be the field of all rational numbers, then a real number alpha is said to be constructible if there exists finite number of real numbers alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha n with this condition. That is alpha 1 square must belong to Q, alpha 2 square must belong to Q of alpha 1, that is the extension field of Q. Alpha 3 square belongs to Q of alpha 1, alpha 2. Once again, the extension field containing alpha 1 and alpha 2. Similarly, alpha n square belongs to Q of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. Alpha n minus 1, once again, the extension field. And finally, alpha belongs to Q of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. Alpha n. Here, we take the help of Q and we constructed Q cross Q, that is the Cartesian product of Q with Q, and let us call that as plane of Q. A line equation ax plus by plus c equal to 0 where a, b, c belongs to Q is said to be a line in Q. Similarly, a circle of equation of the form x square plus y square plus gx plus fy plus h is equal to 0 is said to be a circle in Q. So what can I say about a point in Q cross Q or in the Q plane? So it can be taken as intersection of two straight lines, intersection of a line and a circle, intersection of two circles. In all the three cases, you're going to get points. So in the first case, let us take two straight lines. Given by a1x plus b1y plus c1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2 is equal to 0. So all these are rational numbers. When I solve these two equations for x and y, I get this to be the point of intersection. And here, since all a1, a2, b1, b2, c1, c2 are all rational numbers, this x is also a rational number and this y value is also a rational number. Clearly, this point is contained in the plane of Q. So let us take the next condition, that is a line and a circle. So if I take a line and a circle like this, so let us eliminate x between these two equations. That is, when I take the value of x from this straight line equation and substitute in this circle equation and simplify everything and collect the terms containing y square, y and constant, I get this expression. So this is a quadratic expression. What I do is I put this value as beta and this value as, this value as delta and this value as beta and this value as gamma. So I get a quadratic equation like this, and if I solve this, I get y is equal to minus beta plus r minus root of b square minus 4 delta gamma divided by 2 delta because of using the formula method. This value of y, when substituted in this straight line equation, gives you the value of x to be this. Now, when you look into the x value and the y value, you have that root of beta square minus 4 delta gamma. If this is positive and if it is a perfect square, then it belongs to Q. Otherwise, it doesn't belong to Q. So suppose if I put this root quantity as some alpha 1, then definitely when I square this, I get a rational number on the left hand side. Therefore, the right hand side alpha 1 square must belong to Q. Therefore, if the value of y and x obtained above are respectively in Q of alpha 1 and x1, x2 are also in Q of alpha 2. Why two values? Because it is a quadratic equation, two y values, and correspondingly you get two x values. So both of them will belong to the rational number set, that is Q, provided this alpha 1 square belongs to Q. Therefore, the point of intersection will lie in the plane of Q of alpha 1. When I consider two circles, so what happens when I take two circles and take the intersection? We know that the line passing through the point of intersection of two circles is nothing but the radical axis. How do you get the radical axis? Bring both the circles to the standard form and subtract one from the other. You're going to get the radical axis. So when I look into the coefficients of x, y and the constant terms here, all are rational numbers. So this will be an equation to a straight line. And this reduces to the case 2, because the point of intersections can be taken as the intersection of the circle with this radical axis and this circle with this radical axis. So it reduces to the case 2. So now let us take any two circles in Q, either intersecting in a point in the plane of Q or in plane of Q of alpha 1, where alpha 1 square belongs to Q. It can be in Q or in Q of alpha 1, but the condition of alpha 1 is alpha 1 square belongs to Q. So the lines and circles of Q lead us to the points in Q or some quadratic extension of Q. Why quadratic? Here alpha 1 square is belonging to Q. So likewise, next you take the two circles or a line and a circle in the extension field Q of alpha 1. So you get the other condition, alpha 2 square belongs to Q of alpha 1. Similarly, we can say that if you proceed in this way, finally you are going to get alpha belongs to Q of alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3, etc. alpha n, where all are real numbers. Now let us move on to the next theorem, which will be helpful in solving the problems. So a real number alpha is constructible when alpha lies in some finite extension K of a field Q of rational numbers, such that degree of extension, that is degree of K over Q, is some power of 2. If you can show that degree of K over Q is some power of 2, then the number will be constructible. So let us take this using the previous theorem as well as some of the known things, that is the extension degree. So in case of alpha, if it is a rational number, then definitely it belongs to Q. Therefore, you can treat Q is a finite extension of Q. Therefore, Q over Q, we know that it is always equal to 1, and 1 can be expressed as 2 to the power of 0. So every rational number is constructible because Q over Q can be written as 2 power 0, a power of 2. Hence the theorem follows in this case. Now let us take alpha to be a real number such that alpha is not a rational number. Then by previous theorem we have seen that there exists a sequence of real numbers alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n with this condition. That is alpha 1 square belongs to Q, alpha 2 square belongs to Q of alpha 1, etc. Alpha belongs to Q of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. But if one of them is equal to 1, that means it will be having a linear term. Therefore, you can take that to be 1. Otherwise, we know that it is always a quadratic term. Therefore, its degree will be equal to 2. Either it will be 1 or 2, depending whether the root is a rational or real. If it is rational, it becomes 1. If it is real, it is 2. So now I am going to take alpha lies in the extension K, and K is denoted by Q of alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n of Q, such that K over Q we need to show that it is some power of 2. So it can be written like this, that is we are substituting for k here. Now this can be written as a sequence of product of these finite elements using the transitivity property of finite extension. So each one of them are either equal to 1 or 2. So some may be equal to 1 and some may be equal to 2. So it will be some 2 to the power of r, where r is a non-negative integer. So we have shown that k over q is equal to 2 to the power of r. It is a power of 2, therefore the result follows. So this will be very helpful while solving the problem. Now let us take the next theorem. If a real number alpha satisfies an irreducible polynomial of degree n over a field q of rational numbers, if n is not a power of n, then alpha is not constructible. Here we are making use of the previous result. If alpha satisfies an irreducible polynomial, that means it cannot be factorized further in the field q, which is of degree n of rational numbers, then q of alpha over q is equal to n. This is the result from one of the theorems on finite extension. Let n be not a power of 2, and if possible alpha be constructible. But what we need to prove is alpha is constructible whenever n is a power of 2. Now we are taking n is not a power of 2 and we are assuming that alpha is constructible. So we need to arrive at a contradiction. Then now let us take that alpha lies in the finite extension k of q, such that k over q is equal to 2 to the power of r. Because we are taking alpha is constructible, by the previous result we can write this for some non-negative integer r. Clearly we know that k is a subfield of r which contains both q and alpha. Because q and alpha, when I adjoin them, I get q of alpha, and that will be the smallest field containing q and alpha. Now I am saying that k also contains, therefore this q of alpha must be contained in k. Thus q of alpha is a subfield of k containing q. Now this q of alpha lies between q and k. So once again, using one of the theorems on finite extension, we can say that q of alpha over q will be a divisor of k over q. That is nothing but 2 to the power of r. Since q of alpha over q divides 2 to the power of r, and 2 to the power of r is a even number, so q of alpha over q must be 2 or a multiple of 2. So we say that this q of alpha over q, which is taken to be n here, so n must be 2 or a multiple of 2. Therefore n divides 2 to the power of r. Since n divides 2 to the power of r, it must be a power of 2 or 2. But our assumption was n is not a power of 2. Therefore we arrive at a contradiction. Hence alpha is not constructible. Whenever n is not a power of 2, it cannot be constructible. Now let us move on to the impossibility of certain constructions. These are nothing but some of the problems which will be asked for 5 or 4 marks. So these are very simple. We are making use of the previous results and just proving them by our known identities and known results. Show that it is impossible by straight edge and compass alone to trisect 60 degrees. So you need to trisect an angle of 60 degrees here. That is, you need to construct 20 degrees using only ruler and compass. Bisection is easy, whereas trisection, it cannot be done using ruler and compass. That we need to prove. An angle theta is said to be constructible if a line segment of cos theta is constructible. Why cos theta? Because here we have 60 degrees and we know that cos 60 is equal to 1 by 2. Since cos 60 is 1 by 2 and we know that 1 by 2 is constructible, it follows that 60 degrees is a constructible angle. Since 60 degrees is a constructible angle, now we need to trisect it, and that will be 20 degrees. And we need to show that construct a line segment of length cos 20 degrees. So let us take the modulus, even though modulus need not be taken because cos 20 is in the first quadrant and it is always positive. Now let us consider the identity cos 3 theta. We know that this identity is true. Cos 3 theta is equal to 4 cos cube theta minus 3 cos theta. We are using 20 degrees and 60 degrees here. So when I put theta is equal to 20, I'm going to get cos 60 is equal to 4 cos cube 20 minus 3 cos 20. I know the value of cos 60, that is half. If I substitute and if I put cos 20 is equal to alpha, I get this expression. Cross multiply 2, you get 1 is equal to 8 alpha cube minus 6 alpha. And if I shift all the terms to the other side, I get this equation. And this polynomial on the left-hand side is of degree 3. And it is an irreducible polynomial. If I take, then it is of degree 3 over the field Q of rational numbers. Since it is of degree 3, if I take alpha to be a 0 or the root, then if I adjoin that alpha to Q, I get Q of alpha. And degree of Q of alpha over Q will be equal to the degree of the polynomial, that is equal to 3. And we know that 3 cannot be expressed as power 2 powers. So for any r, you cannot write 3 as 2 to the power of r. Since you cannot write this as 2 power r, so the number is not constructible. That is, a line segment of length alpha is equal to cos 20 is not constructible. Since cos 20 is not constructible, 20 degrees is not constructible. Since 20 degrees is not constructible, you cannot trisect 60 degrees by straight edge and compass. So this will be the first problem. Next, let us go to the second problem. Show that it is impossible by straight edge and compass alone to duplicate a cube. What do you mean by duplicating a cube? If I take a cube of some volume V, the duplicating means I need to construct another cube of volume 2 times V. That is double the units. So without loss of generality, I may consider a cube having a side of unit length. So let us treat this to be a cube of side unit length. Since the length, breadth and height are all equal to 1, the volume is equal to length into breadth into height, and that will be equal to 1 cube, that is equal to 1. So therefore, the volume of first cube is equal to 1. Now I need to construct a volume whose volume is 2, that is double that. So we shall show that it is not possible with straight edge and compass to construct a side of cube whose volume is 2 units. So that is volume is 2 units means if I take the side to be alpha, alpha cube must be equal to 2. From there, I need to calculate what is alpha. Alpha is cube root of 2. So alpha is cube root of 2, and we know that this will be a root of the irreducible polynomial x cube minus 2, which is once again of degree 3 over the field Q of all rational numbers. I'm going to adjoin this alpha with Q and I get Q of alpha over Q, which will be of degree 3. Once again, this 3 cannot be expressed as power of 2. Therefore, it is impossible to construct length alpha. That is nothing but cube root of 2. Hence the result. So you cannot duplicate a cube. Next, let us take another example. Once again, this is also an impossible condition. To square a circle by straight edge and compass. We have seen squaring a circle, but we use some other things there. But here you need to use only the scale and the compass alone. So you take a square of some area, you construct a circle of same area. Here we are going to show that it is not possible to show that. Without loss of generality, let us take the radius of the circle to be unit. That is unit radius. The radius r is equal to 1. So what will be the area? It is pi r square. Area becomes pi into 1 square, that is pi itself. We shall show that it is impossible to construct a segment of length alpha such that alpha square is equal to pi. Why alpha square? Because it is r square area here. So alpha square is equal to pi. Alpha square is equal to pi. If I shift pi to the left hand side, I get alpha square minus pi equal to 0. But we know that pi is a transcendental number over Q. And from the equation here, that is alpha square minus pi equal to 0, I can find the value of alpha, and that will be root pi. That is also transcendental over Q. Therefore, whenever you have transcendental numbers, we have seen that degree is taken to be infinite. Therefore, alpha is equal to root pi is not constructible, hence the result. Let us move on to the next one. Let us take a regular pentagon here and let us prove that it is constructible or not constructible. We need to prove or disprove. Okay. So let us take a regular pentagon, and we know that the interior angle will be 108 degrees. So the exterior angle becomes 72 degrees. So if I am able to construct 72 degrees, 108 can be constructed using ruler, that is as scale. So I'll take consider the case 72 degrees here. A regular pentagon will be constructible if it is possible to construct a line segment alpha, which is cos of 72 degrees. Cos of 72 can be written as cos 90 minus 18, and you get sin 18, and we know that sin 18 is minus 1 plus root 5 by 4. Here, when I look into this ratio, minus 1 is constructible, 4 is constructible being integers, and root 5 we have seen that it is constructible. Therefore, each and every term here is constructible. Therefore, sin 18 will be constructible. Since sin 18 is constructible, cos 72 is constructible. Since cos 72 is constructible, alpha is constructible. Therefore, the regular pentagon is constructible. Next, let us move on to hexagon. Here, if I take a regular hexagon, the interior angle is 120 degrees. Therefore, the exterior angle becomes 60 degrees. And we know that if we take cos 60, that is half, and half is constructible. Therefore, cos 60 is constructible. That implies 60 degrees is constructible. Since 60 degrees is constructible, 120 can be constructed. Therefore, regular hexagon can be constructed. Next, let us take the case of heptagon, or sometimes it is also called septagon. Okay. Let us check whether we can construct this. We know that each exterior angle of a septagon is 2 pi by 7. And this is not a round figure here. So let us equate that 2 pi by 7 is equal to theta. So let us cross multiply here. You get 7 theta is equal to 2 pi. Or I can split this 7 theta as 4 theta plus 3 theta and shift that 3 theta to the other side. I get 4 theta is equal to 2 pi minus 3 theta. This 2 pi is nothing but 360 degrees. Let us take sine on both sides. If I take sine on both sides, you can do using cos also. Let us take sine on both sides here. So if I take sine on both sides, I get this result. That is sine 4 theta is equal to minus sine 3 theta, because 360 minus theta is in the fourth quadrant and sine is negative. Now let us make use of the identities, that is multiple angles identities. I can write sine 4 theta is 2 sine 2 theta cos 2 theta plus sine 3 theta is equal to 0. Here let us substitute for sine 2 theta once again and cos 2 theta and express everything in cos and I get this expression 8 cos cube theta plus 4 cos square theta minus 4 cos theta minus 1 equal to 0. So let us substitute for cos theta as x. So this is what you get. So once again, let us still simplify it. Let us put 2x is equal to y. Then we get this expression where y is equal to 2x and 2x is 2 cos theta and the 2 cos theta is 2 cos 2 pi by 7. What can I say about this polynomial? This polynomial is an irreducible polynomial of degree 3 over q. You cannot further factorize this over q. And has a root y is equal to 2 times cos 2 pi by 7, or it can be taken as 2 alpha. So let us adjoin this 2 alpha to q. So q of 2 alpha over q, or rather you can take just alpha also, because 2 already belongs to q. And degree is equal to 3, and this 3 cannot be written as some power of 2. Therefore, length 2 alpha is not constructible. Therefore, alpha is not constructible. Hence, the regular septagon or heptagon is not constructible. So, this ends this session.